Hi guys, and welcome to my channel. My name's Theresa and I'm the CarbootCrafter, and welcome to my countdown to Christmas. Lots of wonderful projects to get us ready for the festive season, and today's project is making these boxes, which are lovely deep boxes that are ideal for Christmas gifts or homemade gifts, whatever you want. And the surprise thing with this one is, let me pop that one to one side, is that if you then open the top, you have another little box there, and then you've got the base box in there as well. And our little box measures 4 inches across by 3 7/8 deep. So yeah, lovely little and if you pop it back in there, you can't see what's hidden in the main box. The main box measures 4 inches across by 5 3/4 to the collar, or if you go right up into here, right in there, that's 6 inches from the top to there, that bit in there. So, and yeah, I just think they're really great. I'm going to be making a few of these for Christmas presents this year. And the idea came, let's pop them out the way. The idea came from this box of chocolates that I was given a few weeks ago. And yes, they've all been eaten, but I really liked the top of the box and how ornate it was. So I thought I'm going to have a go at creating something. I started off with a 12 by 12 paper, but as you can see, it just didn't really work out. So I then got myself some A3 paper, which I'm using for the base. So to make this box and the box in the top, you'll need an A3 sheet of card, and you'll also need a piece of card to match, coordinate, or you can go for something that's completely different. And this is 6 7/8 by 11.5 inches. And yeah, and your A3 paper. I'm going to start off showing you how to make the small box, because that will give it a little time to dry, because we need it for making our cracker box. So I'm going to pop it on the Hoogie scoreboard, and I'm going to score on the long side at 1.5 inches, at 5.5 inches, oops, at 7 inches, and at 11 inches. Let's hold that steady, 11 inches. Okay, and once you've done that, you're going to turn it to the short side, and you're going to score at 1.5 inches down the one side. Normally we'd come across here and score over this side again, but because we've got that little bit there, we're going to turn it all the way around and score again at 1.5 inches. And this way, that little bit is in the middle here, which helps us to fit that this box into the top of the cracker box. Okay, so once we've done all our scoring, and hopefully you can see that, I'll grab my pencil. So you've got your score lines coming up. These are your 1.5 inch score lines here. You've got the this was our 11 inch score line here. This was our 7 inch going across there. And what we want to do is get rid of all of this, both sides like that. We need the rest to make our box, and we need the middle bit to make the lid of the box, but we don't need these pieces. So I'm just going to grab my scissors and cut them out. I'm going to come in at the top here, and this just helps us to make the lid of the box. This is the lip that's going to go inside, and I'm going to, so there's my score line. I'm going to cut this side of it because I want to cut away my score line. I want to get rid of it completely. So I'm going to go all the way down to that score line, turn it, and I'm going to cut away my score line here as well. So just joining that up there, and we can then get rid of that piece like that, and do the same on this side. Come in ever so slightly there, and then cut all the way down, getting rid of that score line there till we get to that score line, the first one on the way down, and then cut across and cutting away those score lines too. Okay, and that then gives us this. And now if I grab my pencil again, so we've got a score line here that goes all the way across, and here that goes all the way across, and we're just going to cut in and remove. Again, we're removing the score lines, so I'm cutting to the right of this one, then to the left, and then I'm just going to cut that away. This just helps with putting the box together later on, because we want to make it as accurate as possible. We don't want to make it too big that it won't then fit into our cracker box. So I've turned it, done both sides there, turned it all the way around, and I'm going to do exactly the same this side. So cutting to the right and then the left of that score line, cutting away, whoops, that score line because we don't need it, and the same this side. First to the right, then to the left, there we go, and we can cut that, whoops, we can cut that away. And once we've done that, let's get rid of all our bits. We just score, fold and score like that, and the same on the other side. Let's fold them in and score them, and then all these ones going up as well. I will be going back in later with a rubber and getting rid of all my pencil marks once I've finished the video. So there we go, so that's that. And for the sake of the video, normally I'd use what would I normally use? Glue, wet glue, but for the sake of the video I'm just using double-sided tape to put this box together. And what I'll do is afterwards I'll come back in with my glue and reinforce these a little bit. Although it is only a Christmas box, it is only for Christmas, so you know, it's not necessarily going to last very long, is it? So there we go, that's our done. Let's just smooth those down so that I can get them off with my pokey tool. And then we're just creating our box. So it's not quite a pizza box. It's a fold over box, but not so sort of pizza box. They'd still have the sides on, wouldn't it? Whereas we've cut them away on this one. So I'm just taking these all off, and then I can show you how we make the box. Okay, so I always start at the bottom end, so down here. If I can get this off. I've broken my nail on my thumb, which means I can't grab quite as well as I normally can. There we go. So I'm just going to line up this edge here with that crease, so we get a nice squared off corner, and the same on this side, match them up nice and level. And then with this one you do exactly the same, but we're bringing the whole thing up. So line up that crease with that edge like that, and the same on this side, line it all up like that, and then we have our box formed. Okay, so to do the rest of the box, I've got, now this you can miss this step out if you're not going to do the fancy filigree at the top with a punch. I've used a punch to go all the way around. Miss this out if you're not going to do that, or if you are going to use fancy scissors. You don't have to use a punch like I have. You can just use some nice what do they call it, scalloped scissors would be really nice on the top there. So I'm just popping these on because these will shine through the punched pattern, that really nice sort of almost filigree effect at the top of the box, and just give it that little bit more of an opulent look. So these go all the way around. So these measure 1 1/4 by 3 3/4. I could have made them so that they fitted exactly, but I didn't want to. I wanted to give it a bit more. So when it comes out of the box, I wanted it to look, you know, nice as well. Just as nice out of the top of the cracker box as it is in. So there's the last one going on. And then I've got a square of card as well. Now this measures 3 3/4 by 3 3/4, and this is going to go on the top. So just glue that all the way around and pop that on the top of our box. Like that's just centre it a little bit. It won't be quite centred because our box is 4 inches that way and 3 7/8 that way, so it won't be quite squared off. Okay, so that's the box made. I'm going to pop it to one side and let it dry and tidy up my workspace ever so slightly while I then grab my A3 paper card, sorry. So your A3 card, whoops, you'll need your scoreboard again, and don't worry that it's only a 12 by 12 scoreboard. I'll show you how we get around that. So on the long side you're going to score at 4 inches, so 4 inches and then at 8 inches. So give it a good 2 or 3 scores. Then when you've done your 8 inch, you're going to fold at 8 inches. So line that up, get that to fold over like that. Actually it should fold that way, shouldn't it, because that's the way I've scored. There's my 4 inches. Make sure you've got your sides lined up because we're making a box, so you need those to be good and squared off. And then crease that down. Once you've done that, open it up again, and you're going to butt that crease mark up against this corner here. So butt it up against there, then open it up and score at 4, holding it really steady up into that corner like that. There's the 4, and then again at 8. I'm just going to need to be very careful at 8. There we go. No, that's 7.5. Oh, at 8. Do as I say, not as I do. So yes, so 4, 8, fold again at 4 and 8. Okay, once you've done that, turn it to the short side, and again we've got the problem of this being too long, but don't worry, I'll show you how we deal with that. So on the short side you're then going to score at 2, going as far as you can, which is probably going to be the 3rd score line along. So 2, 3 and 4. Right, then bring this up and flip it so that when we line it up you can see my score lines here, and then score again at 2, 3 and 4. Okay, then once you've done that you're going to turn it all the way around. so the other short sides at the top, and you're going to score this one at 2. Again, only go down to your 3rd score mark or as far as your scoreboard will allow, flip it over and then score again at 2. Okay, and that's all our scoring done. So then all we need to do is fold and crease. So I'm just going to, where's my crease mark gone? There it is. Crease there, there, that one, oops, that one, and they're all folding over onto the paper. There we go, like that. Use your bone folder to reinforce those. And this is the second 2-inch mark we did, so there's just this 2-inch score mark at this end. Do that, then flip it over. Now this side we've got the 2, 3 and the 4-inch score mark. So I'm going to go straight down to the 4-inch one and I'm going to fold that over like that. Okay. I'm going to open it out. I'm going to ignore the 3-inch score and I'm going to go to the 2-inch and fold that over again. And there we go. Right, so now I'm going to flip my paper over and now I'm going to fold at that 3-inch mark. What that helps is, that helps us later on when we do the cutting out for the actual top of the cracker. Okay, so now we're going to do some cutting. So this is our thin score mark there. So this was that 8 that I messed up and scored at 7.5 first, but this is the 8. Okay, so this is my 2, 3, 4, and this is my other 2-inch mark down the bottom. Okay, what we're going to do is we're going to cut away this bit at the bottom. So this is going to be the base of our box and we're just cutting that away. Then we're going to come up to where we've got those 3 score marks together and we're going to cut away these bits and mitre in on there. Okay, so I'm just going to mitre in there and cut past that 3-inch score mark that we made to the 2-inch score mark and then cut away. Let's bring it back into camera shot so you can see, and then cut away that piece as well like that. And then I'm going to mitre that corner piece as well at the top. So you end up with the side with our 1/2 inch there. That was our last 8-inch mark. So these are our tabs to put our box together. Okay, so now I'm going to deal with the base, and all I'm going to do is fold it along the crease mark and I'm just going to cut away ever such a tiny little slither like that, cutting that away, and I'm going to fold it there and cut this piece away. And last one, or if you want to keep it like that and then just cut like that, if that suits you better, if that makes more sense to your way of doing things, then do it like that. Okay, right, and now we've got to deal with this bit. So we've got to do the bit that's going to make the top of our box, this bit. So the easiest way I've found of doing that is having my paper folded this way. I'm going to fold that under, bring in my ruler, and I'm going to measure from this end, not this end that we've just done the tabs. Ignore that end for now. So on that 3-inch, so I've got a score there, I've got my score here and another score there. Fold on that one that we folded a slightly on the inside. Pop my ruler on here. I'm going to put a mark at 1 inch and I'm going to put a mark at 3 inch. Okay, remember this is a 4-inch box, so there's my score mark there. Okay, so I've got my 2 marks there. I can put my ruler and pencil away for a moment, and I've turned it around just because it's easier for me to do. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to cut from my 1-inch mark there down to this crease mark, to that corner there. So grabbing my scissors, I'm just going to cut straight down like that. Okay, and I'm going to do the same here. So this is my 4-inch score mark, this is my bottom score mark, so I'm going to cut from that point there right into the center of that cross there where it's crossed over. There we go. And that, I'm not cutting that away just yet, because I'm going to show you what I do next. So I open it up and I flip that first panel across. Make sure it's all lined up and nice and straight. Then I bring my pencil in and I just crease, I just make a pencil mark where I just cut. So those two, hopefully you can see it there. Then I'll fold it back over and now I've got a pencil mark showing me where to cut. So I'm bringing my scissors back in, cutting down to where those two join, like that. Same on this side, right down to that crease mark. Then I'm going to open it up again, making sure I push that piece over. And then I've got the template again for doing the rest of them. So I'm popping my pencil in there and just drawing where I've got to cut. And this is the way that I've found easiest to make sure that these cuts are even all the way across. So as you can see, I've got my little triangles there. If I fold it in half, I've now got my pencil marks to follow. So, and I'm cutting the pencil marks away. So just going slightly to the one side, to the bottom of the pencil mark, to cut it away. And that way I don't even have to rub it out later on. And then my last one on the end, going right down to that corner. And then when I open it up, I've got nice and even triangles, diamonds, whatever you want to call them. And that then helps me to put my box together. Okay, next thing I'm going to do is bring in my favourite fancy punch, and this one it's a tonic and it's called Butterfly Border. Use whatever you've got, or if you haven't got a fancy border punch, then just use scalloped edges, or if you want to, leave it perfectly plain like that. It still works. You just don't get quite the fancy edge that you need. So you don't need to sit and watch me punch all the way along the edge of my box. As you can see, in true Blue Peter style, here's one I made earlier. So all I need to do now, oh, I haven't cut up on these, so let me quickly do that. Thought I'd had it all prepped, but let me just quickly do that. And I can then start putting my box together. Nice and quick. And this comes together once you've got all the bits and your measurements and everything, and I'll put them all in the description box below. But once you've got all of that, this comes together really quickly. So again, for the sake of speed, I'm going to use double-sided tape. I can't use that one because it's too wide. let me grab this one instead. I think that this is 1/2 inch on here, but I think my tape is 1/2 inch, and it just goes over. Okay, now with the top you're going to need the smallest piece, and actually I'm going to glue it on that, because as you can see I have quite a tiny bit there, so I'm going to use glue. So I'm going to take that off. Actually I'm going to use a little bit of glue on my tab as well, just to make sure it's nice and secure and will last a little bit longer. You know, I don't trust double-sided tapes quite as much as I do with the wet glue. Okay, so there's my first box. I'm going to bring that over, line it up, make sure those score marks are all nice and lined up, and there we have the beginnings of our box. I'm not going to glue this bit yet, and I'll explain why shortly. Okay, and at the bottom I'm going to box fold this. So I'm going to bring 1 in, 2 in, 3 in, and then I'm just going to tuck that in like that. And that's my box fold. I just think it makes a nice neat bottom, but do whatever you like. I'm going to add some glue, and I just squodge it in there like that all the way around, and on that side and there. If you prefer, then cut yourself a piece of 4x4 card and glue it at the bottom, or even on the inside if that helps. So let's make sure it's all squared up like that. Now I'm going to bring in my other box. Hopefully it's a bit drier. So I've made myself a tassel, or if you've got some shop bought ones, you can use a shop bought one, but I've made my own. So I'm just going to open that, grab my pokey tool, and just by eye, I mean if you want to measure, entirely up to you, but I'm happy to do it by eye. I'm just going to poke through there. Let's make that a little bit bigger, and I'm going to thread that through on there. This just helps when you take your box out of the top of the cracker box, so when you take the little box out. So pull that through. Oops, a little bit of tape on the inside, and then what I do is I cut a piece of 3 3/4 by 3 3/4 paper to match this, and glue it on the inside to cover all the gubbins up on this side. So let me just fold that across. I'm going to pop that back over because I don't want it sticking on anything on the inside of the box, and that then gives you a nice little tassel for on the top. What I've done, if I grab my red one, because I haven't done it on the blue one yet, what I've done as well is I've got myself some Velcro, and I've put a tiny little bit of Velcro on the lip there. As you can see, piece is just covered up. I've used ribbon on this one. I cut a slit and put the ribbon through because I wanted the ribbon to match the ribbon that's on the box. So yeah, so I've put that on there, and that hides everything. And then the Velcros just make sure that when I do pull that out or lift it up, that the box doesn't spring open. Pop that back in there like that. And so right, so let's get on to finishing our box. So I'm going to pop that back in like that, and to glue this last piece, okay, so this is going to be at the back, so you want to get the front of your box, and the front of your box is the one with the lip, and pop it in. Actually grab your glue first and put some glue on here. Now as you can see, it's very delicate and very ornate, so I always use wet glue, and then bring in your top box pop it in very carefully, pop it in with the lip to the front of your cracker box, and then wrap this around and glue it together like that. Okay, so let me just adjust that ever so slightly. I think it's caught on the on the filigree. So there we go, that's better. So wrap that around, join it up like there on that edge, and then I leave it with the silver box in there, and I usually flip it over so that the weight of gravity and the weight of the box itself is holding it down while the glue does its job. And then once you've done that, you'll decorate your box. So what I've done is I've used the same punch to punch out some gold, or in this case silver, and I've added it to the front. And then this is a die from the Works, so it's the Works Merry Christmas box, and I'm going to find myself some nice blue ribbon to go around the neck of this one in the same way as I've done the silver, the cream and gold on this, and then that's your box completed with your own little secret box on the top, which keeps everything tidy and hidden away. So I hope you enjoyed the video. I've really enjoyed making this, and yeah, I will see you in the next one. So take care, and happy Christmas. Bye.